Welcome to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to another edition of Two Giant Goofballs. I am Drew, as always, with Rob.
Me, Rob. It's sad because we're 0-2 again.
Dude, honestly, I was going to the end of this game here going, and I put it out on Twitter before it even happened. I said, whoever gets the ball last is going to win this game.
Yep.
We knew kind of going into it was that kind of game. And there's a couple things we can blame for this loss here. It's not just one. There's a couple things. So we'll go over all of that. There is some positives. I don't want to be as negative as we were last week because, listen, in general, we lost to the Commanders. So, yeah, we can't be happy.
We looked a lot better than last week.
Well,
that's not saying much, though.
I'm taking it with a grain of salt because of the competition you went against. Yeah. Like, honestly, I have to take that as a grain of salt. Like,
it's also divisional as well, so like we have to.
Yeah, but like the Niners just lost to the Vikings. So that looks like much better of a loss for us. But now we just lost to the Commanders, who made Baker Mayfield all pro last week, and DJ looked better, but they look good enough for what we went against. Like that's where I'm at here, guys. So let's start breaking down the game itself here, guys. In the meantime, we're gonna ask it probably a couple times, guys. But if you can do us a favor, hit that like button. Hit the share, hit the subscribe if you haven't already, guys. It really helps get this out here. We want this to be, a community of, fans here that can chit chat here about this game because, to be honest, we're all getting pissed off to a certain degree.
Yeah, to say the least.
So, that thumbs up if you're on YouTube. That's the best way to help us out right now. So, let's get into everything going on with the game here, guys, because I think the first thing we had to touch base on really is that the Graham Gano mishap. Stop me if you heard this before, but Graham Gano got injured and we kept him in the damn roster.
Yeah.
Right? Like we talked about this in the pregame here. Like they were really talking about in the warm-ups. Graham Gano was so bad he was wincing every time he kicked the ball. Wincing.
But let's go for a 2-point conversion every single time.
Well, we had to because he couldn't play the game anymore because he tried to run down somebody. And it's just the whole thing, that whole situation pisses me off on a few different faults here. So, number one, he's injured on Friday with his groin. It's not like it's like a shoulder injury. This is a part of his lower body, which is what a damn kicker uses. Maybe you get a second kicker just in case.
Yeah. It's not like he had a broken pinky.
Yeah. Then he's running after a guy when there's a penalty. And then it's going to get called back. Now, I understand the heat of the moment on him at that point there. But it's frustrating as a Giants fan that happened. Then you go into the fact that this is like, now we're getting touchdowns to their field goals. We have no ability to score field goals. We have no ability to score extra points.
Yeah.
Like, it's frustrating as damn shit. Woo. I'm trying to keep it down, guys. I'm like livid right now, man. Livid.
Yeah,
it's the second year in a freaking row. Like,
yeah, deja vu. Let's be real. Like, and once again, against the Commanders, who they controlled the ball a lot better than we did through most of the game, and they couldn't keep up with us, but we lost that game. They did not win the game. Like, we lost that game, hands down, by mismanagement.
Yep. And it starts right there with number one with that issue with Graham Gano. It really does.
Yeah.
And we have a second kicker on the practice squad sitting there, okay? Now, I'm not saying he's great, but he was able to kick at least. He was able to kick at least. You have a guy that you had the same exact damn thing happen last time where he was injured. You put him out there in a game he had no right being out there, and now you've done it to him twice in a row. And I understand Graham Gano probably wanted to play. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't blame Graham Gano whatsoever in this. But I blame the coaching staff. I blame the front office for not saying, you know what, we need a backup plan because this guy's lower body is injured. Because even if that didn't happen in warm-ups like that, and even he was better than that, what happened if he got injured in the game? And oh no, look what happened. He was bad in warm-ups and he got injured in the game.
And we had no answer.
That is absolute roster mismanagement right there. Like, there's no ifs or buts about it. There's no way around it whatsoever. That is absolutely unacceptable to happen in a roster. Absolutely.
Yeah. Especially when we already got burnt about this last year. Wasn't like 10 years ago. Like, it's the same management staff, same coaching staff that literally just went through this.
Yep.
Like, what, 8 games ago?
Yeah. And, it's the old thing. If, those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Like, that's where we're at right now, guys. Because you can't do that. You can't. How much different would this game look potentially in that scenario? Let's say, first off, we would have gone for the field goal that last drive. I'm not saying you would definitely gotten it, but you would have gone for it, and it was a manageable field goal for any, like, even half legitimate kicker. Like, this wasn't a chip shot, but it wasn't a 50, 60-yard field goal either.
Well, I mean, 3 failed 2-point conversions, right? You take 2 of those as kicks, you put them in.
Well, we had two failed 2-pointers, one missed extra point.
Yeah, sorry. But you put 2 of those points on the board. You just take 1 of those points and you put the field goal on. You got 4 extra points. The Redskins, the Commanders would have played this game a lot differently if they were down by 4 than tied.
Well, you could have sat there and say that. You could have sat there and say that they would have been down by 3 points when the Giants got the ball the last time at that point there. The Giants hypothetically gone for the 3 other points at that point. It would have forced the Commanders to have to go for a touchdown to win by 1. That changes the entire way this last couple of drives would have gone, guys. And I'm really like, again, there's so many mistakes that we could have gone over, and we're going to go over some more in a minute here. I'm not trying to say this is the only thing, but guys, you can't do this in the NFL. You can't go into a game without a damn kicker. You knew he was injured. Like, what the hell? How many years does this have to happen in a row before you realize that if a guy is injured and he's your kicker, you better have a damn backup ready to go?
3rd time's the charm.
And I wondered, listen, I understand I'm living about this right now. Maybe this is where this is coming from. But after the 49ers lost so bad to the Eagles because they had no available quarterback, the NFL created an emergency quarterback position. Am I crazy to think maybe we need an emergency kicker of some kind of position? Because this game would have been so much more fun. And I'm not even talking as a Giant fan. I'm talking as an NFL fan in general. Like, this thing could have come down to, let's say, hypothetically, it came down to a field goal. The Giants were down by 3. Yeah. And you have no kicker. Like, you've totally, completely, like, ruined the outcome of this game because of one guy.
Yeah, hands down.
I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe this is just me being ticked off in the moment there. But this is just absolutely insanity, guys. So let's get into the next issue we got here. But before we do, again, guys, if you can hit that thumbs up, please hit that thumbs up there. I see a whole lot of you in here, so appreciate if you guys can do that there for YouTube, especially. That really helps spread this out there. Let's get into the defense here, because to be honest, I'm seeing a lot of guys going, oh, well, we held them to field goals. We did good. Guys, I don't know about y'all, but I'm pissed off at the way the defense played.
Yeah, I mean, they were good in the red zone, obviously, but we left some really big plays.
And they had to keep getting in the damn red zone. Yeah.
And, I mean, you look at in the second quarter, the Giants took Daniels, put him back. They had him back, loss of yards twice. And then a 3rd down and long, you let him run for a 1st down. Like, that's unacceptable.
By the way, do you know who the Commanders' punter is?
Who's that?
I don't know either, because I didn't see the whole goddamn game.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? You have a rookie quarterback. You have a bad offense that has literally one good receiver. You have an elder statesman at tight end. I'll say it nicely. He's very old. And this is what happens? You let them get into the freaking red zone practically every goddamn drive?
Pretty much. That's
listen, if you had field goals, guys. Every time they got the ball, it was a field goal.
I was going to say, if you had the Commanders kicker as your fantasy kicker, you had a good day.
Yeah, you had a good day on that part, at least. Glad someone had a good damn day, because I'm not right now watching this shit.
No.
I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. And I see, it's the bend but don't break. And like I heard some people talking about, listen, that's not the bend. That's the you got bent over and you just happen to not break. That's what that was, okay?
Yeah.
Like, that's BS.
So durable.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you're excited about the fact that you stopped them from scoring touchdowns, there's something wrong with the mentality here, because you let them score on every single drive. We didn't punt once. They didn't punt once.
Problem.
That's an issue. It's the Commanders. This is not an excellent offense. This is not the, I don't know, the 49ers, the Chiefs, whatever, Bills, whatever the hell team you want to throw out there at that point. It's the Commanders. This is one of the few teams that could have potentially had a worse offense than us.
I mean, you could still make that argument, because at least we got touchdowns.
No, I can't, because you know what? We had 3 touchdowns. They scored on 7. We scored on 3. They scored on 7. They won the game. They scored more points. And you can't blame you can't say the Commanders' defense bailed out Jayden Daniels. It wasn't that kind of scenario.
No.
Like, they weren't getting like special team touchdowns. They almost got one to start the game, but they didn't get special team touchdowns.
Very close.
They didn't get that kind of stuff. This was purely their offense doing whatever the hell they wanted against us. And then, as I watch all you on the comments here, we'll get to comments later, I promise. But I see Joe 2 times mentioning right here about Commanders had a lot of false starts. They had a lot of false starts, a lot of penalties in general, and on lining up at the ball and stuff, like where they shot themselves in the foot, and we just happened to stop them from scoring touchdowns. I can't sit there and say we did great things on offense, really.
Yeah.
And I can't say we did great things on defense. Like, there's nothing that I could sit there and be excited about in this game. And I really want to be, guys. I don't want to be that negative guy. I don't want to be. But you tell me how, watching this game right now, that I can't be. That's it's just where I'm at here. We're going to have to do it. We're going to have to be the Debbie Downer here. Because this is some damn BS. The Commanders. This is the one damn team we're supposed to beat in the division.
Or just in the NFL, really. Sadly.
Yeah. It's just absolutely freaking ridiculous, guys. And I'm getting fed up real quick with the way the season's going already in 2 games in. Because we should have won this game. Point blank, we should have won this game. And it's frustrating as hell. It really is. Because we looked like we were playing a team that was beatable. But for whatever reason, just couldn't stop the defense. Now, let's get to what we couldn't stop here, guys. Because it wasn't the pass that was killing us.
I was about to say, they're not just talking about how great Daniel Jones looked this week, right? The last week.
We'll get into Daniel Jones, but I think some people might get a little upset by what I'm going to say on Daniel Jones, but we'll get into him. Let's talk about the stopping the run, because that's my biggest concern I have with this defense, the way things are going right now. We went into this game saying, hey, the Giants did not stop the ball very well when the Vikings wanted to run it last week. And it's 100% accurate. You look at what they did. Aaron Jones had 94 yards, 14 carries, and a touchdown. Not a lot of volume, but that's a damn good average at that point there. This week, here's the rushing numbers. 17 carries for Brian Robinson Jr. 133 yards, 7.8 average. Jayden Daniels, 10 carries, 44 yards. That I'm not too upset about, to be very frank. I'm upset that he kept getting out of times he should have been sacked, probably. But, I think that getting only 44 yards it's nothing to like get excited about. Nothing to like, oh my god, we stopped him for 40. But it's nothing to like go, what the, it's not that kind of move. But
Correct.
133 yards to Brian Robinson Jr. And guys, they kind of said it without saying it a lot of times, and they kind of did say it a few times even during this game. Some of these big runs that Brian Robinson Jr. had would have point blank been touchdowns if any other running back basically was running the ball but him. Like, he's really good at finding the hole, banging it out for a couple yards, bouncing off tackles, that kind of stuff. He has no top speed whatsoever. Most teams would have a running back that would have scored touchdowns on the big running plays we're giving up. And, that's just that's not even close to like any other game he's ever had in his career. Like, this is the first time that the Commanders have had a 100-yard rusher since 2022. This is the first time in Brian Robinson's career he's had over 100 yards. And it's 133 yards, guys. And yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. That's a guy that should never be that kind of yardage. Again, we've talked about it in the pregame. He's not a bad running back. He's not. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect the man like that. But he shouldn't be a guy that you're going to give this kind of yardage up to. It's absolutely ridiculous.
No, I mean, he's the third tier in the three tiers of running backs in this league. Like, you do fantasy football, he's probably your RB2, maybe 3.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, that's what he is. He's part of a committee kind of guy. That's what he is. We missed a word here. I'm going to put him up here real quick because he got a commander. He said, you all lost the game and you're here talking about our running back. Okay, enjoy your loss. I'm going back to regularly scheduled programming and enjoy our win. Dude, we lost to the running back. Well, we were not going to talk about the guy who gave up 100. We gave up 133 yards. I'm still ticked off. I can't even talk right now.
Yeah, we gave up 177 yards to runs. Like,
that's what you do when you lose the game. You talk about what you gave up at that point. You think that guy being a Commanders fan would know.
Well, yeah.
Guys have won a goddamn ring since the early 90s. Pipe down. You're even worse than a freaking Cowboy fan like that. Don't get all excited because you won a game finally.
Especially against a bad division rival.
Seriously. But, yeah, guys, we have to be able to stop the run. We got to figure it out. We have to figure it out. It's absolutely insane. It's just absolutely ridiculous, guys. Like, you should never let this kind of offense do whatever the hell they want to do. And that's what they did. Because we all knew they weren't throwing the ball. We all knew it. Like, there was no doubt. And if they did, it's going to be a short yardage kind of thing. They don't throw the ball deep. They don't.
No. I mean, also, like, we've gotten a little better than last year, but I mean, we've given up a lot of rushing yards last year as well. And, we expect to be better, but I mean, to make Robinson Jr. look that much better, that was terrible.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely. Now, we do got to give a little props here to Deonte Banks, I think. Like I said, I don't want to be all 100% negative, as much as I'm pissed off about this game right now. Deonte Banks did his job today.
He did.
He really did. I mean, Terry McLaurin, 6 catches, 22 yards on the day. And I should say, it wasn't just him on him, but since he's number 1 CB, he's the guy that primarily covered him at that point. He was covered. The 2 guys that got us in this game as far as passing-wise, and I say got us, but they, wasn't too crazy. 4 catches, 62 yards for Zach Ertz. We got the 1 catch we got to talk about him with, though. And that's that one that Jason Pinnock had the ball and he yanked it out of his hands. And there was still some question to how that went. I got to say, as a Giant fan, even, I got to be honest and say, I think that he did technically catch the ball. He ripped it out of his hands. I don't think that Pinnock was down yet at that point when he got it. So I do think that was the right call, but it was really damn close. Yeah. Like, I could be wrong. There could be an angle out there that we didn't see at that point, the NFL as a hold of, but based on the angles that Fox showed in that game, and I assume they're the ones who had all the angles there, I don't think he was down yet. But 4 catches, 62 yards for Ertz. Another day we can't stop the goddamn tight end. Noah Brown, 3 catches, 56 yards. And it's not a good day. Just get those two kind of yards, But again, I got to give the props to Deontay Banks. 6 catches, 22 yards for Scary Terry. That's not so scary. That's a good day at that point, stopping them. They made it a point to do that, and they did it. So at least we did something right, I guess.
Yeah.
Yay-ish. But yeah, let's get into the quarterback play over the last couple weeks though against this guys. And again, before we do, hit that thumbs up if you haven't already, guys. Let's go into that play though, because we went into last week talking about we made Sam Darnold look really good with the completion percentage, especially. He started like 13 passes, I think he completed or something like that.
No, I don't think it's that high. It was 9 in a row.
No, I'm saying Darnold. I thought it was like something like that. So anyway, 19 of 24 he was on the day. Okay. Today, Jayden Daniels 23 of 29. Guys, we can't let these guys keep doing that. We have to get incompletions. Like, this is part of the issue. Like, we're not giving up a ton of down the field kind of stuff, but we're giving up a ton of passes in general. Like, that's not going to keep working for long. Like, at some point, you got to figure out how to stop the passer, even if it is short yardage kind of stuff there, I mean, it's not going to work out well. I mean, that's a 79 completion percentage that we're giving up the quarterback so far in the season, guys. Cool. 79. That's ridiculously high. And I'm not saying to give up on this defense yet, because I know a lot of people, are kind of like already pissed off about it. I'll go back to the 07 year again, and when we started 0-2 and the defense looked like utter crud. It is a brand new defensive system at that point. So I'm not 100% ready to give up on it. It's not like I've been staring at this defense for the last, 5 years prior to this.
Yeah.
I'm saying it that way on purpose. I know people are going to say, oh, you're upset about Daniel Jones after 2 games. Yes, Daniel Jones we've seen for 5 years. This defense we've seen for two games. So it's just, we got to figure out something. And, the pass rush, what we looked at last week, said, hey, we got to get some pass rush in these guys. We're paying these guys we got a 5th overall pick. We got a $30 million pass rusher. We got to figure it out. But now you look at this year, we definitely, like I said, this game, we definitely got some sacks. Micah McFadden had a sack. Jason Pinnock had 2 sacks. Drew Phillips had a sack. Bobby Okereke had a sack. We had some sacks. We definitely got to the quarterback. By the way, you'll notice that you didn't hear me say anything about Burns getting a sack.
Because, yeah.
Still saying we got burnt, no pun intended, on that. Yeah. We're paying $30 million to a guy who's a second-tier pass rusher. We're paying him like a top tier. I'm still saying it. And Kayvon, you saw him in the backfield, and you saw him doing some stuff, so I'm not going to get him as high because I did see him getting back there. He just wasn't the finisher in those there. But, yeah, this defense has got to get figured out. Absolutely got to get figured out. And the concern I have with that is we do have a offensive head coach. So it's not like you can go, Shane Bowen, go talk to Daboll and let's figure this out. Like, that's not Daboll's forte.
Yeah, so he hires his defensive coordinators.
Yeah. And this is, like I said, something's got to give. The only guys that I'm extremely okay with how they've been playing there, it would be sitting there saying, I think Drew Phillips has looked really good. I'm not, I want to watch all 22 at this point and see what he did as far as coverage wise. But he was hitting like a linebacker in this game. Like I was pretty impressed with him at that point. I saw him the very first time he came up and hit somebody behind the backfield. I was like, 22, wait a minute. And in my head, I'm still going to Dory Jackson because he was 22 for the last couple of years for us. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Phillips, there he is. Like Dory Jackson would never make a play like that. And then you got obviously Dexter Lawrence, who is Dexter Lawrence. He just is what he is. The best defensive tackle in all of football. You got Bobby Okereke, who of course plays very well. Deontay Banks playing well as well. It's just that the rest of the guys got to hold their own. They got to hold their own, and that's where it comes out to there. Pinnock, you can say, had a good game as well. Again, the 8 tackles, had the 2 sacks. Will look even better if he had the interception. But yeah, it's just that defense has got to get figured out. So let's talk about another thing that, as far as ways and reasons people think we got burnt in this, because I'm already seeing some people complaining about this, and they're not wrong. Let me be very frank on that right off the bat. The referees screwed us in this game. Absolutely screwed us. Because that last penalty, like, how are you going to get slammed to the ground by somebody running into you?
Oh, yeah. And you get called for pass interference.
Yeah, like, that's not on Drew Phillips. Let me be very clear. That is not on Drew Phillips. And that would have stopped the drive.
Yeah. You even had the announcers talk about that, too. It's like,
yeah. When the announcers point blank take your side, you know you're right.
Yeah.
Like, it's their job to look impartial. And that's just absolutely insane. But, I hear a lot of Giants fans, like I said, complaining that the refs screwed us out of this game. They definitely screwed us in that play. But, guys, the Commanders should have been nowhere near us in this game. If the defense just did their job one time, if the Giants had a kicker, this game would have been over. This game would have been way over. We would have won. We would have been nice. We would have been 1-1 at this point. We'd have gone a little optimism here against the Browns next week. I don't know how much optimism there is right at this point. I really don't. So,
yeah, it's hard to say.
Let's get into the big topic here, because I know this is the one that most people want to talk about here. And let us all know in the comments section what you guys think on this. If we're right, we're wrong, we're crazy, whatever. Let's talk about Daniel Jones. Because that was the big topic going into this. Will Daniel Jones play better? Will Daniel Jones get benched? Will Daniel Jones, continue to be the starting quarterback? I got to say, it's a mixed bag for me, man. It really is. Like, I look at this, 16 yards. 16 completions, 28 attempts, 178 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I guess the time of possession was an issue. Like, the Giants didn't have the ball very much. Let me be very frank and say that up front. And I'm not sitting there and saying Jones had a bad game. But are those the numbers that we're okay with?
I was going to say,
against the Commanders? Against the Commanders, guys.
Yeah.
This is the same team that gave up 4 touchdowns to Baker Mayfield last week. Like, this is not a great secondary. Plus, Forbes was out, so one of their starting corners was out. Quan, one of their starting safeties, was injured as well. Like, this was a banged-up, crappy defense. And we couldn't get it going, guys. Like, there should have been... Like, there should have been something in this game here. We got to get things going a little better there. And the only time he looked good and comfortable was when he was throwing the ball to Malik Nabers. Let's be honest in that.
Yeah, it was the Malik Nabers day, if you will.
Yeah, and we'll get into Malik Nabers in a little bit there, because that was definitely a coming out party for him. But, there was no throwing the ball around. There was no, and I didn't see any, like, if anybody wants to throw up a specific play, feel free to call me out if they think I'm wrong in this. I didn't see him going through progressions once in that game. I kind of felt like he was like, this is where I'm going. That's where I went. There was no scanning the field. It was like that's what it was every single time. You can't play quarterback that way.
No.
A good defense would have fixed that.
Yeah. Being a deer in headlights, like, you're literally looking at your target every single time. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's just it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Like I said, he played better. I'm not putting this loss on him. Let me be very clear on that. I'm not putting this loss on him in any way, shape, or form. This loss, to me, goes on the defense and on the front office for not having a kicker. But Daniel Jones has to play better against a team that is, quite frankly, one of the worst defenses and one of the worst secondaries in this league. Because if he doesn't, we got the Browns next week, guys. We got the Cowboys the weeks after that, and I know the Browns, got spanked by the Cowboys week 1. The Cowboys just got spanked this week by the Saints here, but they're better. They have better corners, point blank, than the Commanders do. And I'm a little worried when I see that a guy not going through his progressions, just going for it. I'm a little worried what's going to happen going forward. I think this was a better game than for Jones in that first week, obviously. But was it a great week?
No,
wrong.
It wasn't
crazy.
No, not at all. So I mean, yeah, DJ looked terrible week 1. We all saw that. Like he looked like a guy that just came back off an ACL surgery and wasn't moving properly. You can also say the same thing today. He played a lot better, but was he a stud? No. I guess he managed the game better than what he's been doing, but I wouldn't say he looked great. Like Malik Nabers, like how many yards did he have on the day?
He had 127
out of 186 yards that DJ had.
Yeah.
So like, and Nabers had quite a few yak yards. So like DJ was doing what he was doing. He just got bailed out by Nabers for a lot of this, of this game. And I'm not saying it's, a crutch or, pros or cons, but like, that's what you have in Nabers. Like you give the guy the ball at the line of scrimmage, but that's also what DJ does. Just gives the ball off the line of scrimmage and expects big plays to be made all the time. And it's not going to happen. And week 1, he ate it, but this week, Nabers excelled.
Yeah. And without him, what would a Jones look like?
That's what I'm saying.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm with you. Like again, I'm glad to see improvement from Jones. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, we've said this so many times in this program, and I feel like there's a lot of Jones people that are like get upset when anybody talks anything negative or realistic about him. We want Daniel Jones to succeed. He is the New York Giants quarterback. First and foremost, we care about that more than us being right about him. That's what we want. We want a good Giants team, and we need him playing well to do that. I'm sorry, but this is not playing well. And it's not playing horrible. It's not playing bad. But when you look average against a bad secondary, that's not making me confident in you going forward still. Like, I was looking for a 225, 250-yard kind of outing at that point. I was looking for him trying to go through progressions. I was looking for that kind of stuff, and I just don't have it. And I'll say this, the offensive line looked very good again today. Like, the offensive line gave him time. He had a pocket. Like, there's no excuse as far as that part of it there. I think he only got sacked one time on the game. I can look it up to verify, but I think it's only one sack. Yeah, one sack by Clelin Ferrell. That's what I thought. So, yeah. I mean, again, there's obviously hurries and rushes and that kind of stuff to go into. I don't have all those stats in front of me yet because the game just ended, but I saw pockets. I saw time. I saw him having a chance to do what he had to do. It's not to say he was never under duress, but no quarterback's ever never under duress. That offensive line I thought was good. And it's not very often I get to say that. It's been 2 games in a row. It feels weird. Like, really?
Yeah, right.
So fine, looks good. But
it took us a decade to say something like that.
Seriously. But when you have a guy that's literally focusing on his first read and not moving off of him, there's only so much you can do. And I felt like Nabers kind of became a security blanket for him, where he was just like, let me just chuck it to Nabers. Let me just chuck it to Nabers. I mean, how many times did he chuck it downfield to Nabers when Nabers wasn't even open?
At least 3 times.
Yeah, like, I don't know if
he had the one where he threw
he
threw the one ball like 7 or 8 yards past Nabers.
Yeah,
in stride.
Like, that's what I kind of felt like he was expecting penalties in some of those. I don't know what kind of penalties he was hoping for.
Yeah.
But that's what I kind of felt like in that whole thing. But like I said, I'm not going to sit there and bash Jones for this game. But I'm not going to get here and say this was exciting, or maybe I was wrong, or maybe this is the start of better things for him. I would love for it to be. But I don't think that's realistic. I really just don't. Going based on what we're watching here, So let's talk about Nabers, though, because if we're looking for a positive thing in this whole thing, it's the Nabers coming out party. That's probably the biggest positive we could. I don't think he's coming out that way, Rob.
Yeah.
10 games. That's not 10 games. 10 receptions, 127 yards, and 1 touchdown. Now, let me get it out of the way right off the bat. He had the 1 drop on 4th down that would have extended the drive at the very last offensive drive the Giants had. That was a bad drop. I don't think I have to tell anybody it's a bad drop. I don't think I have to tell Nabers that was a bad drop. Like, Nabers was pissed at himself like you would not believe. So I'm not going to sit there and get concerned about that because you're going to have drops. That sucks. Bad timing, but that's not his fault because we would not have been in a position to be in close to winning if it wasn't for him. So how am I going to blame him for having 1 bad drop when there's no way we would have even got close to winning without him? So
when he balled the whole game.
Yeah. So, but 10 yards, 10 reception, 127 yards, guys, that's a damn good game.
12.7 yards per catch.
Yeah, like that's a really good start. And I'm curious what Marvin Harrison did today. I didn't see what Junior did there. Or I think they haven't played yet, probably, right? Have they?
I don't think so.
I'm still trying to catch up on all the games that happened so far there.
We're playing now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I thought so. West Coast game there. So he's looking like he might have been the better of the two so far. Again, 2 games in. I'm not trying to call it a career at this point there. But yeah, that's definitely a really good start to the career for this kid here. And again, I want to be pissed at him for the catch. I really do because it was such a big drop in this game. But let's be honest, guys. If we had a kicker, that pass would never have gone to him. We would have thrown the kicker out there. Would have gone for 3.
Yep.
So it's not that he gets a pass, like a full-on pass, but it's like he was also in a position he shouldn't have been in.
Correct. I mean, we keep going back to that. Yeah.
Because I'm pissed.
Nabers dropped the pass. Yeah. I'm saying Nabers dropped the pass. Then next in the play. We lost. Nabers dropped the ball. That's the last what we saw. If you would have scored an extra point after every one of those kicks, after every one of those touchdowns, you would have been up 3. You would have gone for field goal. You would have been up 6. Guess what? Washington couldn't do all game. They couldn't score touchdowns.
Nope.
They got field goals. And how they win? They scored a field goal.
Yeah.
So gameplay would have been different. Like, you could blame Nabers, but can you really?
Yeah, it's just absolutely insanity there. And again, it's just I've been backing Daboll the whole time. I really have because I was really impressed with what he did. Obviously, year 1, year 2, I thought it was impressive that he didn't lose the locker room, considering how bad the team was playing. Because he didn't, guys. If you thought he lost the locker room, you weren't watching the game. Sorry, because they were busting their hump towards the end of the year for nothing for him.
Yeah.
Look no further than the Eagles game. Then you go into this season now, and you're like, okay, well, he seems to have lightened up a little bit. I don't mean he's physically, because obviously he's lost a ton of weight, but he's also lightened up mentally, and you see him yelling less. He's kind of changed a little bit. And, I didn't want to judge his offense and his play calling abilities based on how bad Daniel Jones looked last week. But listen, that's on Daboll and Shane together right now that we didn't have a kicker this game. It's absolutely insanity. Absolutely insane. Let's get into some of the comments here. We're going to pay the bills real quick, guys. We'll be back in like just 15 seconds or so. Let's pay the bills, and then we're getting to the comments here. In the meantime, guys, again, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that share button there. Let somebody know you might enjoy this show as well there.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty. So Josh starts off saying, "Are you really surprised?" Yes, I am. We expected to win. I didn't expect to blow them out, but I expected to win. Right, Rob? I mean,
we 100% predicted a win today. And even if you're a bad Giants fan or you're cynical on the Giants have played against the Commanders very well this past decade. And just sit there and just as a better, you're probably taking the Giants, just because statistically speaking, we've had their number.
Yep. This is one of the very few times in the season that we can expect to win as we play the Commanders. So, Joe 2 times says, waste of money on Burns. Should have kept Saquon. We win today with him. So, I do agree with you that it was too much money to Burns. We said that the very second we made that signing. Once we did that trade and said, oh, we're signing to this huge contract. I was like, well, hold on a second here. A guy who's never even done 10 sacks, we're paying him like a 15-sack guy. That's a little insane. But I'll agree with you on that part. I'm not going to agree with you on the Saquon part there. We'll respectively disagree with that there. Devin Singletary, guys, looked good.
He did. I mean, he didn't look Barkley good, but at the same time, no one's going to look Barkley good. But there's a lot of different other issues you're going to go down with Barkley. And I don't know if you could say we win the game if Barkley's on the team.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying guy averaged 6 yards a carry.
I'm saying he had
Singletary. It was 16 carries, 85 yards, and a touchdown. Like that's a really good day. And I don't know what else you could expect of him. And I don't think what you'd expect necessarily of Saquon to do in his place either. I don't think that this is a game you can sit there and say it was a huge difference having Saquon or Singletary. Now, it's hard. To go back in time and change the decision and see what would have happened, obviously, but.
Obviously, because you're not going to know, like, all right, are they going to hand off the ball? They're going to throw it to Nabers. Like, they use Nabers like a crutch, like they use Barkley. So, I mean
Singletary and Nabers were our whole offense, basically.
Pretty much. Except for Wandell for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Wandell had 18 yards today.
And a touchdown.
I didn't have a touchdown. I'm just saying, it's not like he was a workhorse in this whole thing,
No.
Slayton had 33 yards.
Yeah, so it was 140 yards at 186 that went to two receivers. Like, I mean, besides Nabers, no one had like a great day. It's in the receiving room.
It's even worse at that point. I will do the math. I love to do it. 307 yards on offense. Okay, 307 yards, and you had 222 between those two players. So 2/3 of our offense was that. So I just, like I said, I'm not suggesting that we should or shouldn't have kept Saquon. I think in the end, let's be honest, like I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think Saquon wanted to be here. And I think with the right deal, I would have been okay with keeping Saquon. But I can't sit there and say that today we lost because of Saquon not being there. Devin Singletary played very good. And he got the touchdown in that first drive at that point there, which was our first opening drive touchdown since I think the first season we played football 100 years ago. So I can't sit there and complain about him. I really can't. And I got plenty I can complain about. Don't you worry.
He's very good at
that. And he says, Joe 2 times says, no having the kicker is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. Josh says, I'll keep repeating it until it gets acknowledged by everyone. When they traded for Brian Burns and signed him, I said, terrible decision. Like I said, we didn't mind the trade. We minded the contract. We were not a fan of the contract. We said that right off the bat. Giants 83, terrible third down defense all game. Yes. Terrible defense all game.
Yeah.
First, second, third, fourth down.
Well, straight the third downs. But yeah.
Yeah, we did get a fourth down. I'm just saying, the defense looked bad today. It looked bad. Tilly says, number 2 pick coming. We'll see. We'll have to figure out what happens there because I'm a little curious. Like, I almost want to start scouting quarterbacks already. Is that bad? That's bad, right?
A little bit. You got to give it a couple more weeks.
That's really bad. That's when 2 weeks is up, and I'm like, maybe we should start scouting quarterbacks. Like that's where I'm at. That's how bad it's gotten. Joe says, Commanders won with their kicker. Didn't score 1 touchdown, all field goals. It's like a sick joke. It's an absolute sick joke. And I saw people that were Giants fans on Twitter and all on halftime talking about, look, the Commanders can't score a touchdown. Who cares? They're scoring more points than us. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you score the points. Though obviously I'm sure the Commander fans would tell you they wish they had, scored points with their touchdowns, as we would have their shoes obviously as well.
I mean,
think that you win. That's all that matters.
You think Steelers were complaining week 1 when they got the win?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's same thing. 6 touchdowns once a game.
Deb says, what defense? I don't know. I didn't see a defense. I did not see a defense at all. Zach says, Thank y'all. A team worse than us finally. Listen, you lost how many times in a row to us? You can't get all like one time. Oh, you're so much worse than us because you lost once. Stop. Deb says, really starting to question Daboll. Like I said, this is, and prod by Brown. I think it's supposed to be Brown the 3. I'm maybe, I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced. Sorry. But yeah, Daboll sucks. He says, yeah. So we got 2 back-to-back questioning Daboll. And yeah, like I said, Daboll, from everything you hear and read, sits down with Joe Schoen and makes these roster decisions together. To me, a conversation had to have been had on Friday about elevating the kicker from Rutgers up at that point to have a backup kicker just in case. You know, considering how many times they've been 1 or 2 people short on the roster, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but it does. Like, it just, can't be happening. Josh says, we didn't stop them from scoring touchdowns. The Commanders stopped themselves from scoring touchdowns. There's definitely some validity to that. As he says, Joe 2 times says Commanders had a lot of false starts. False starts, formation issues, they had all kinds of issues. KJ Jackson, the fact we kicked the field goal to go up that last drive, bad coaching. We didn't have a guy to do it. That's the problem. We didn't have a kicker. You know, and I personally, and again, I don't want to be the guy that's like second guessing after the fact. Like, it didn't work out, so I would have done this differently. But I feel like that was a shorter field goal. I probably would have gone ahead and tried for the field goal personally. You know, I feel like that was a large, field goal to do. But Daboll's an aggressive coach, and that's sometimes it's going to win for you. Sometimes it's not going to win for you. I mean, we saw, the Scottish Hammer hit a field goal last year when he had to. I know he missed the extra point this time. So it's like, that's not a given either direction. Like, I probably would have gone for it in that scenario. But I can see why he'd be hesitant doing it. You missed an extra point. That's about as close a field goal as it gets. And you missed it.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, the fact that we're even in that position just ticks me off still. JA3, this is getting old, man. Yeah, this is getting really old. The ghost of Buddy Ryan. Guess who's back? Is it Buddy Ryan? Blessed believer, at least we have 2 backup quarterbacks to play just in case. Now, I will say this, just to clarify this, because I know they didn't really talk about this very much in the game, and they kept showing Tommy DeVito in his full gala uniform there. He was listed as the emergency quarterback. So what that means is he's not taking up an active roster spot. He can only come in if Jones and Locke both got hurt. So he was kind of like Russell Wilson getting dressed just in case. Didn't really have to. We're going to skip Mr. Bird because he's all talking about all hoopla like that. We already went over his thing. D-Man says, Giants are cheeks. I'm assuming that's a way to say we are gluteus maximus. And yes, we've been played like that the last 2 weeks. That's for damn sure.
They've been clapping.
Yeah. Tara said, go get Kaepernick. Yeah. I think Kaepernick's days are over. But, yeah, we need to figure out something at this team here. Somebody to provide a spark of some kind. But again, I'm not going to sit here and bash DJ for this game. This was not DJ's fault we lost this game. This was the defense and the coaching for not having the front office. I should not even necessarily coaching specifically. The front office and the defense for not being able to stop a rookie quarterback from doing whatever he wanted on the field pretty much, and not being able to have a kicker available in case needed when you knew the guy that you were counting on had a groin injury, and the same problem happened last year. Absolutely ridiculous. Blessed believer, after today's game, I'm getting excited about next April. Oh yeah, that's and Big Red putting up Daniel Jones's topics there. That's right. Stats there: 23 of 29, 240 yards. Yep. And again, Jayden Daniels. Sorry, wrong.
Yeah.
Daniels. Yeah.
Yeah, we had DJ and JD.
29, 226 yards is what they have on. This is what I'm looking at the Google stats right now from their box score. So He did get another 44 yards rushing, so a little bit less than that, but still, either way, the 23 of 29 is ridiculous for a guy in his second career game. Second career game to giving up that kind of completion percentage. That's insane. Alexander, somehow you all will still blame DJ today. No, he just said it. Don't blame DJ. I don't know. What is it with DJ fans? And I don't mean that as like, I mean people that are fans of him overall and think he can still succeed, that automatically everybody hates DJ. Not everyone hates DJ. We've said it before. He's a great guy. He's just not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But this is not on him this game.
He's in the friend zone.
Yeah, this is not on him this game. Let's be very clear about it. This is not on Daniel Jones. Could he have played better? Yes. Could he have played worse? Yes, we saw last week.
Yes, I'll say. Yeah.
So, yeah, as Daboll says, today DJ was the least of it. That's what's depressing. Exactly. G-Man 2011 says this is 100% on Daboll. If your kicker is injured during the week, then don't play him. Especially when you made the same damn mistake last year. I cannot stress that enough. You made the same damn mistake last year. At what point do you stop making that mistake, guys? That's insane. He also says, Jayden Daniels look good. Our defense is trash. Yes. Brian Schwartz, I'm so sick of losing. This was on coaching. You kick field goal for lead. If they drive and get field goal, it's tie. At least you go to overtime. We effing suck. Embarrassing again and again. And again, I don't want to say a pass, but I'm seeing why they wouldn't do the field goal. You don't have a kicker. You're asking your punter to do the kick. And it's hard for us to second say that part of because they see how he knows as far as how he does kicking. They know how he is as a kicker. I know they kept talking about during the game that, Jamie Gillen had hit a 50-yard kicker and a 50-yard kick, during the game. So I get that part of it. But, you look at this as a whole, and I just feel like you can't sit there and blame that one move because there's two sides of that. There really is. Like I said, I would have done it, but I get why he'd be hesitant to do it. That's not the move I'm going to blame him on. I'm going to blame him on the fact we didn't have a damn kicker to begin with. That's what I'm going to blame him on. So, Wick says, it's the skins. I ain't praising DJ for his performance, but it looked like he shaved and did better not looking his receivers down. Yeah, it's funny that the whole bearded, shaved Daniel Jones thing is like a big thing still. Shaved or bearded Daniel Jones. But listen, either one is not good enough to be a quarterback long term with this team, guys. That's just what it boils down to. He's just gotta go ahead and stop, not progressing through his receivers. He's got to be able to read the defenses better. He almost got picked off of that one play that we talked about there with, we threw it up to Nabers and the safety moved back over to get it. That was almost a pick right there. I'm telling you right now that a lot of times that would have been a pick. The Commanders are just not a good defense. They're just not. Dennis says Banks was not good, played soft. Again, I got to look more at the all-22 as far as that. But when your top receiver gets, that you're going against gets 6 catches for 22 yards, you can't say that. You can't necessarily say that. What matters in the end is the production. So, Sean says that's like Washington saying their O-line didn't false start in red zone. It would have been a lead. I'm guessing not a land. Slide. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. No, that's point blank. The difference is and I'm assuming this is a Commanders fan. The difference is the Commanders did that. The Commanders had false starts, had bad formations. They had all that stuff. Drew Phillips got railroaded over, and they call him pass interference calling him. That's a big difference. One is a BS play, and one is the thing you guys got caught doing. Because let's be honest, penalties happen all the time and don't get caught. That's the difference. That's a huge difference there. Sean says, Baker Mayfield beat Detroit in Detroit. Can the G-Men do that? Probably not. Probably not. But that still doesn't make Baker Mayfield a top-tier quarterback. He's an average quarterback in this league who looked great against the Commanders the week before. So, Daniel Jones looked bad week 1, looked serviceable-ish against this team that made Baker Mayfield look amazing. So, and that's why I'm using that comparison, is that I think teams are going to be elevating their game against the Commanders because of how bad the Commanders' secondary, how bad the Commanders' defense is. If this is Daniel Jones's elevated game, that's an issue. Dennis said he had moments. Sorry, I don't know which he had the moments there, Dennis. If you want to let us know in the comments there, I'll try to get back to that. Sean says, and a team with a bad defense still beats you. What does it say about your team? Our team sucks. That's what it says. Like, that's just, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is like a gotcha moment comment of something that Sean thinks he has. Like, yeah, no, our team sucks. That's point blank. We're 0-2. This is a Herm Edwards moment. We are what the record says we are. Dalen Smith, Flott can't cover. Noah Brown, really, bro? A backup receiver? Yeah, I'm not a fan of Flott. And we talked about this in the pregame as well. Like, they tried to hand Flott the starting job on this team here, outside corner. And Nick McLeod was the starter week 1. It would have been the starter week 2 if he was healthy. Like, Flott's not good. This is them trying to validate a bad Joe Shane pickup that we said it during the draft at that point there. He was a 3rd-round pick by us, and most people had like a 5th-round grade on him. We way went over on a good one for him. That was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's see here. Prod by Brownie says Daboll and Bowen or Shane Bowen. Been a long day, guys. Daboll and Bowen are not good. Yeah. I'm not ready to say not good, but I'm not going to sit there and say that they're amazing. That's for sure. Not the way that this defense played, and not the way the decision-making process went today. That's for damn sure.
No.
You can't sit there and say either one of them had a good game. Again, I know, Shane Bowen's talked about this being a bend but don't break defense, guys. That wasn't bend but don't break. That was breaking. When you're giving up points each time the team has the ball, you broke.
Yeah.
That's.
I get it. I mean, typically, an offense is not going to get 7 field goals, but let up 7 field goals. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, you done goofed.
Yeah, you let them score every time they touch the ball. That's not a good defense.
No,
not against this offense, especially. This is not a good offense we face, guys. Dalen Smith, Gano, Kayvon, Flott, Slayton, Adore, Cutte, we'll say but. Yeah, I mean, Gano got hurt. That's not on him. He's an older kicker. Older players get hurt. Kayvon, I didn't see him in the backfield at least. And I think it's better performance that he had, last week, that's for sure. Not that saying much, but I think a better performance that he had last week.
We all talk about how DJ plays good against the Commanders, but who else? And who else does? Thibodeaux.
Yep. And 3 tackles today, 1 assist. I mean, not a huge stat line for him there. But again, I saw him in the backfield. It's not always sacks, but he had a better game than Burns did. If we're going to attack one of the edges right now, Burns is the guy we should be talking about right now.
100%.
That's because what he's getting paid. Flott stinks. Slayton, listen, I've said it forever. Slayton is the most underrated Giant on this roster. I'm sorry. For a guy to come up and be a 5th-round pick, to be a guy who consistently gets 700 yards a season, I've never understood the hate that man gets from Giants fans. Never will. Yeah. It's not his fault to keep him putting in position to be a prime receiver. He's not. He's a 3rd or 4th receiver on most teams that keeps getting put in the position of being a 1 or a 2. That's not on him. That's on us. Point blank. Yeah. Prod by Brownie says, no one is denying it a good game, but it is absolutely his fault for the drop. LMAO. Yeah, it's his fault for the drop. That's not what I'm saying. Like, it is his fault for that drop. but you can't sit there and blast him for the drop either, because I know it's a bad timing, but that's when you had that kind of game, the rest of it, and you're owning that position because your team didn't have a goddamn kicker.
Yeah, who's
more at fault here?
Yeah.
Who's more at fault? Daniel Smith says we had a whole kicker. We had a whole kicker. It wasn't even half.
Yeah.
We had a whole kicker on practice squad. Why not elevate him? WTF Daboll. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said, or even just get one off the streets. If you didn't want to go that route, go get one off the street. It's not like they had to learn the defense or offense. Like, you could literally sign a kicker, and I'm not saying it ever would be done this way, hypothetically, but you could literally sign a kicker at 12:30 for a 1 o'clock game, and it wouldn't matter. Like, there's nothing he has to learn. It's the same thing that happens. The ball goes on there, you kick it, you want to put it through the uprights. Like, it's not a difficult position to go from team to team. Like, it's not like there's ever a kicker that goes, well, this guy used to kick really good over in Buffalo, but now he's going over to Kansas City, and it must be the special team scheme because he can't figure it out. Like, no, that's not what happens.
The way the special teams line sets up, it just really throws off the kicker.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want some chemistry between the holder and the kicker. There's obviously that aspect of it, but it's...
Who doesn't want chemistry with their snapper?
Yeah. Oh, hello. Daniel Smith says 7 field goals is crazy. Yeah, curious, what is the NFL record for most field goals in a game? It's got to be like, let's see,
gotta be close.
8. They were 1 away from the NFL record, guys. 8. By the way, that was back in 2007. Rob Baronis of the Tennessee Titans, when they beat the Houston Texans 38-36. That's crazy. He had one for 52 yards. All the rest of them were all under 43. They were all shorter. Same as this. Bob Reed says there's a penalty committed on every third down stop. Terrible. There is, but that's, like I said, that's to call that penalty specifically on Drew Phillips. Like, that is just absolutely ridiculous,
Yeah.
Daryl McLean says we sure do miss Wink. I don't miss Wink. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I don't miss Wink. Now, was Wink's defense playing better? Yes, but that doesn't mean Wink is a good coordinator still, because Wink, and I think Giants fans got to realize this, Wink was better on Sunday. He was not so much better Monday through Saturday. And that's part of the equation. And we don't get to see that because we don't go in the building. We don't see behind the scenes. But I'm telling you, the more and more you hear about stuff going on with these teams, guys,
there's big locker room.
There was so many issues with Wink last year. It wasn't even funny. Like, I kept on hearing more and more issues as the season was going down. And afterwards, we kept hearing more and more behind the scenes stuff as well. And of course, they had the big exposés and all that kind of stuff. Like, Wink, let's be honest, he wants to be a head coach. He doesn't want to sit there behind somebody else, but he doesn't want to also listen to somebody else. And that's what you signed up for. And if that's the case, go to like a JUCO if you have to at that point. Go to a junior college at that point to be a head coach. And that's what you have to do to earn your stripes, to become a guy who can be a head coach in this league. If you're not going to take direction, because I'm telling you right now, if he causes issues at Michigan, his career could be done. It doesn't matter how good a coach you are. If you cause issues for the head coach, you cause issues in the locker room, you can't be there. This is the same as a really talented player. Same thing. How many times we see that with guys like T.O. that can still play, but they don't play him anymore? They're not worth the headache. Same kind of thing. Same kind of thing. Let's see here. Spaz Out says this team stinks because they don't win. They don't win because they stink. Yeah, that sums up this episode pretty well. I think that does.
Yeah.
Spaz Out says at least see if he misses 2 extra points, then you go for 2, not just after 1. Yeah, I gotta say I was a little shocked by that myself. I was definitely a little shocked by that. Like, he missed the 1 and you just kind of give up. Like, that seems a little early to give up, I thought. Again, he's not a guy that you sit there and expect him to do, crazy good things as far as that there. But, he made his one. It's a 40 yarder. I thought I said a 50 yarder here, but I'm on his stats. They said it was a 40 yarder that he attempted last time, last year. It was then he had, let's see, one extra point he made as well. He missed a field goal and an extra point, it looks like. Oh, you know what? No, I'm reading this wrong. He had the 1 from 40 last year, and he had a missed field goal back in 2020 when he was still with the Browns. So, yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know. I agree. Gave up too early. I thought on that. Or, crazy, you could have had a second kicker on the roster just in case.
Could have been crazy.
Insane. Could have been a contender. Mr. Tinateki, cursed, all in capitals. Yeah, we definitely feeling the curse right now. That's for damn sure. JJ, I feel like we're going to end up tightening up and playing better as the chemistry goes and they get used to the other teams' new schemes and plays in this season. I do feel like that with the defense. The offense is still what scares me mostly. And again, I know DJ lovers that are there, and I don't mean to crazy when I say it that way, but the people that are huge fans of DJ are going to sit there and be upset for me saying this. But as long as he's the quarterback, I will not have faith this ever be an explosive offense. I just won't. You may occasionally have a game where or a drive where he looks explosive, but not for a long time. That's the problem. Let's see. Spaz says Daboll needs to stick to being a coordinator. Well, if we want to be honest about it, he wasn't that good of a coordinator except when he was in Buffalo. We talked about that when he first got hired. He was bad in Miami. He was bad in Cleveland. I mean, it's not like he was a good coordinator there either. But I'm not yet ready to give up on him. I feel like these kind of decisions are really Joe Shane's call. And I already didn't like, I shouldn't say don't like Joe Shane, but I'm already not high on Joe Shane as it is. So I'm going to sit this on him more than I am on Daboll for that reason, because I feel like Daboll's at least kept this team going, keep this team together. But yeah, he's got it out for himself this year, that's for sure. If this kind of losing continues, because you're going to lose this team pretty good, Spazhat also says, invest in a young kicker. They're taking over the league now. Gano's not a problem. I just feel like if he's hurt, you got to actually, go ahead and have a backup guy ready to go. That's all it is. Probably have a backup guy.
Yeah.
What's the point of having him if we're not going to use him? Stan from Westport, a Scottish rugby player should be able to hit a 40-yard field goals all day. The hammer can obviously punt. Yeah. I don't disagree. Like I said, I would have taken the shot with it personally. Stan also says Kaepernick is like 47 by now. I don't know how old Kaepernick is, but either way, he's been out of the league so long. There's no way I would actually look him up. He's 36. You were close because he'll be 37 in November, so you weren't too far off at all. Stan also says Jones and Singletary were good today. Singletary, yes. Nabers, yes. I'm Jones was okay. Deb says, I hear it now. Daboll, we have to watch the tape. We have to do better. It's on me. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody should make like a remix song on him. We have to watch the tape. We have to do better. It's on me. Like one of those like electronic ones where you just like take.
I was about to say it goes into.
Someone do it. Somebody have any musical abilities here that can do this? Because I can't do it. That's something I don't have the ability to do. So
goes right into EDM.
So let's see. Stan says maybe Lindor can kick field goals and Gano can lead off for the Mets. I don't think that'll work very well for either side in that whole scenario. 516 grind time. The defense is really bad. Rush defense is terrible. Joe Shane didn't do enough to address the defensive line. We talked about it extensively leading up to the season. We said, corners and defensive line are a huge issue for this team right now. Defensive line, unfortunately, has definitely proven to be. Nacho did not play great last year. I don't know who to blame this yet on as far as this game here. Again, I gotta watch the all 22 kind of stuff to see that. I really don't want to with the way this game played out, but I'm gonna. But yeah, I mean that's 2 weeks in a row. You're giving up a ton of rush, to the opposing team. You can't keep doing that.
Well, and listen, like it's not like Wink's defense was that good against the run either. Like let's be honest, we haven't been good against the run in a few years. Like ETN, like last year ran for 130 yards. Like, I mean, yeah. I'm just saying, like now, all of a sudden it's an issue. It's been an issue.
Let's see. Stan also says difference between Daboll and Mendoza when Gillum missed point after attempt. Daboll ditched him. I assume it means. When Diaz gave up walk-off home runs, Mendoza went right back to him and won the next two. I think the difference is though in this scenario, you're not saying I'm giving up on you at your natural position. You're saying I'm not going to put you in a place to fail. That's why I'm saying I do see both sides of the coin. I really do. But I would have taken the shot with the last field goal, and I would have sure as hell had a second kicker. We talked about a pregame. So that's a nice thing. We did a pregame show this time that I did for us here, that I could sit there and say point blank. I did say before the game we should have had a kicker, and I have actual audio proof of it. I'm not very happy with the fact that I was right on that, but I wish I was wrong. Yeah. But Jane Augustine, why not add a kicker knowing Gano has a groin issue? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Stan says Daniels will be a star in this league. We've said point blank. We thought Daniels was the best quarterback coming out of this draft. Point blank.
Yep.
So very highly better than Caleb Williams. Yeah. Let's see. JJ says Danny needs to throw deep. Some of our receivers have been burning. I don't think he knows how to anymore. Like honestly, those passes to Nabers, which is the only one he threw deep to, none of them were close.
I was about to say he threw 8,
except the one. There was one I want to say. Yeah, there's one I want to say like barely touched his hands that it was close-ish, but otherwise though they weren't good. JJ says perfect song. He liked our song choice there. I think that would be hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Bust to Move the Businessman. First off, that's a very cool name for a YouTube name there. Bust to Move the Businessman. So it's just that's the laughing and crying at that point there. He says that one catch he missed killed y'all. Thank you, God. So yeah, he is obviously a Commanders fan. Like I said again, I'm not going to put on the one catch because if it wasn't for the other 10 catches he had, we wouldn't be in the position.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to. Gerald Abrams said, "Where was Hyatt? Probably staying at Hyatt." I don't know. He was.
Yeah, where was any other receiver in that game? There really wasn't.
And again, I keep hearing Giants fans sit there and say, "Where is Hyatt?" And I get it, but guys, where was Hyatt? Where do you think he was? He was at the game. Where was he? He was in the game. We didn't play him because he's just not obviously that good in the coaching staff's eyes. If they thought he was better than Slayton or Wandell, he'd be in the game.
100%.
There's no other explanation for that, guys. If Daboll and the coaching staff thought that, we talked about this with Hyatt when he got drafted. Hyatt was a project. He was a project. I'm not saying he's trash. I'm not saying I'm giving up on him, but we have to give this kid time to develop because he didn't have a full route tree coming out of Tennessee. He was also a guy who, let's be honest, was burner. That's all he was. He never had to learn the nuances, so to speak, of being a receiver. Look at the stuff Nabers did. How many times did Nabers catch the ball, stop, pivot, turn, and then go turn up another 10 yards? That comes from having the nuances down to being a wide receiver. Also insanely God-given talent, but Hyatt doesn't have that, guys. And if he did, he'd be playing. And if hypothetically Daboll leaves and he comes in and has it all of a sudden, well, that just validates the reason for making changes.
Yeah.
As of right now, I look at Hyatt as yet another Joe Shane draft mistake because he hasn't panned out. Now, could he pan out? Again, I'm not giving up on him yet. Like I said that at the very beginning of this topic. I'm not giving up on Jalin Hyatt, guys. But I'm not also counting on him either.
Yeah, I want to go as far as saying a draft mistake, because a lot of people had him going in the first or second round. We got him in the third round. Like you kind of have to shoot your shot at that point. Like if you thought you had something.
So what you're saying is he was dropped.
He was definitely dropped. Like, listen, like people.
Why was he dropping?
You're right. You're 100% right. But if you're graded that high, that you could be that good, and you find him in that later round, you kind of have to take a shot. Like, I'm not upset at that. There's other mistakes.
There are times we don't know things that the other teams do.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I look at. Like, there are times you can look at and go, you know what? This guy dropped, and obviously the NFL saw things that some of the other people didn't see because they were looking at different things as far as how his game would translate to the NFL. But so far in this league, guys, he's 19 games in, 23 receptions, 373 yards, and no touchdowns. That's not a good start.
Yeah. No,
again, you don't give up on him. I'm not going that crazy, but it's not a good start. And I don't have a lot of faith in him right now. And listen, if this team keeps going down, I would not be shocked at all if you see a guy like Darius Slayton be traded, and then Jalin Hyatt gets forced into duty, so to speak. Because if hypothetically we don't turn this around, Darius Slayton is an expiring deal. He's a good wide receiver in this league, and we're probably not going to re-sign him. I don't think the staff has thought very highly of him forever. So if somebody wants to give us a draft pick for him in a year that we're going to need draft picks potentially to move up for a quarterback if we're not number one overall, not the worst idea in the world. Again, only if they don't plan on keeping Slayton. I'd prefer to keep Slayton myself. I'm a Slayton guy. But that's not my call. If it was my call, I wouldn't be on the show right now. I'd be in Washington.
Touche.
JJ says that Nabers drop was annoying, but it was a bit too far. He kind of lobbed it instead of a nice contested jump beam. There's a couple of things that you could also complain about, like that a 2-point conversion that got dropped by Darius Slayton. That was thrown way too hard. But the Nabers drop, I will 100% give it to Nabers, not to Jones. That hurts me to say it because, you all know I'm not a big pick on Jones. It hit him right in between the numbers. It really bounced off his hands. That was as good a throw as you could have gotten. You were in position to catch it. You just didn't catch it. And I wanted to get pissed off about it, but there's too much other things to get pissed off about that I can't get pissed off about that one thing. Not at the guy that did, was by far the best player on the field in this game. Let's be honest, guys. He was the best player on the field in this game.
Both sides.
Either team. Yes. So, Busted Move says, he was going crazy on us, but y'all definitely got another number one wide receiver. Terry is not getting it done. I don't know if it's on Terry, honestly. I think the problem with Washington, and again, I don't want to go after Commanders fans in this. There's a couple that were being a little jerky before that I had no problem going after a little bit here, but I think the problem with Scary Terry is the fact that while he's not an A tier, he's a B tier receiver, and that's fine enough to be a number one receiver, but you gotta give him some help. You can't give him, Luke McCaffrey and Noah Brown and go, why isn't he succeeding?
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely he's a good player. It just, like you said, he doesn't have the support to be the stud that he could be. I mean, he's proven plenty of times that he's got the stats and he's got the hands. Like he could
with bad quarterbacks. With bad quarterbacks, he's had the stats. So I'm saying, definitely. I'm not. Listen, you don't want him? I'll take him.
Hands down.
You want Slayton for Scary Terry right now? We'll do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Like we take him in a heartbeat. Like I'm just saying. Like I Got to give him a little help. He can't do it himself. He's not an army of one. He's not that good. JJ says Hyatt needs to start being used so we can have our own Devonta Smith. If he was Devonta Smith, he'd be in the freaking lineup right now. If he was the guy that they thought, the guys who see him, and I don't mean Daboll, I mean Daboll, Kafka, Groh, all the coaches that he has to go through, and his positional coach, his offensive coordinator, head coach. If he was that good, he'd be in the game. Do you really think the Giants are going, this guy could be 1,000-yard receiver if we just play him? Let's sit him down.
Yeah, but do we play him?
Like, I don't think there's ever a scenario that a guy is that good, and it's obvious he's going to be that good, and the team doesn't play him. You can talk about certain players like, Darren Waller is a good example. Like Darren Waller, when he was in Baltimore, got plucked because the Raiders had a lot of faith in him. But even with him, it took him a little bit of time once they got there to get better. But it doesn't happen very often where some guy's sitting on the bench and he's a potential 1,000-yard receiver. You usually play that kind of guy. Call me crazy.
Touché.
And Waller, even his scenario, he had the drug issues and all, obviously, were a big change of him too. So, wasn't on the field as much as off the field. Edward Brown says, hit Nabers in both hands, have to catch that. 100%. 100%. JJ says, I think after today we can see the Vikings are serious this season. That loss wasn't as crazy as it felt like. I'm not ready to say the Vikings are serious this season yet. I know they just beat the Niners, who are a very good team, but they also beat the Niners without McCaffrey. And 1 or 2 games does not make a season. Still, I'm saying that about the Giants, by the way, guys, when I say it too. Like the Giants could still turn it around at that point and become not necessarily I don't think other than a great team this year, but they can at least be a average team this year. Still. Yeah, they still could. 0-2 is not a death sentence on the season. JJ says facts Edward Brown. Joe 2 times. Let Hyatt do what he does best and send him deep and throw the ball up to him. He could be our Deshaun Jackson. It's actually not a bad comparison considering the sizes and all of these two guys. But I just don't think the talent is there to do that. Or I can put it this way. They're doing practices. If he was burning people in practice like that, don't you think they'd be playing him?
Without a doubt.
I'm just saying that. Like, I think people are forgetting that part of it. Like, it's not like they're holding him hostage till the end of the season, like a sneak attack. They won't see Jalen Hyatt coming.
Oh, we lost 2 games? Let's start them next week.
JJ says, at Joe 2 times, exactly. He was insane against high-ranked DBs, burning them like that in college. I am more than sure if we have him and play more, he can get it cooking for us. Like I said, there's something going on, guys. There's something. I really think there's. I wouldn't be shocked at all if something go behind the scenes, even. It's a little crazy. JJ says, I don't think DJ got it in him like that. I mean, Tyrod and Thibodeaux last season hit those nice, deep, easy scoring plays way more than DJ did. He needs to throw deep. I just don't think DJ's got that confidence anymore.
Yeah.
I think he's mentally ruined.
I think he's cooked.
DJ Slippers says, does Drew Phillips already have a more successful career than Flott? Drew has 12 tackles in 6 quarters of play. Flott has 65 for his career. I will say this. I don't think tackles is really how you want to go ahead and judge a corner. Like we talked about that before. The more tackles you get, that means somebody's getting the ball near you. Your job is to stop them from getting the ball. So I don't want to judge him based on that. I will say I think Flott is definitely better at playing against the. I'm sorry, Phillips is definitely better against playing the run than Flott is. Like I said, I do want to watch some All 22 on this game still and kind of analyze, Phillips how he did more in coverage. I didn't feel like watching the game live. I got a good feel for that, so I don't want to comment too much on that until I actually have that. But yeah, I don't think I don't think Drew Phillips will look bad at all. And that's a pick that Rob and I weren't exactly very high on when we got him. So, I have no problem saying that, because we did say it live and, he's played better than I expected, to be honest. But I want to see the coverage, because that's the main thing for me on a corner is coverage. I want to see how we did in that, because that was a concern we had. It wasn't really, we didn't like the player. We didn't like where the player was picked because he was a 3rd-round pick in a project, we thought, because of the secondary issues. Jerome Henderson is one hell of a DB coach, obviously, though. So we'll see if that's still going on. I want to see his movements. I want to see his hip flow. I want to see that kind of stuff in the all 22. Let's see what happens from there. JJ says Drew is locks. I would like to see him in some aggressive packages and blitzes more, though. Use him like Taylor from the Saints. Yeah, the way he's playing, I think they're going to try to figure out some more ways to utilize some of his aggressiveness towards their benefit. That's for sure, because he definitely has that aggression. That's for sure. So
yeah.
All righty, guys. It's that time. So, again, guys, we're looking at another loss here. 21-18, the Giants lose to the Commanders. We got the Browns coming up. We're officially 0-2 on the season here. So, yeah, let's see. Gerald Abrams says, granted, Hyatt is learning the position. He has one thing, not catch. I'm understanding. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still learning the position, that's for sure. But I honestly blame Tennessee to a certain degree for that. You got a guy you know is going to the NFL, and you put him in a full-on college system at that point. I know the whole thing is you want to win in college, but you're also trying to set this guy up for NFL. They really didn't do a very good job at that. So, alrighty, guys. So we're gonna call it a day here. Unless anybody else has any more comments flowing in the meantime, while I talk about where we are and where we're going to be found here. So, we are always live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do, of course, obviously you're on one now. You know we do a post-game episode every single day after a game as well. We did do a pregame one here, a short one today. We might do that in the future again, so keep an eye out. The best way to find out is hit the like button, hit the bell, hit the subscribe there, share it to a friend also, because we're horrible at marketing. We count on you all to help us out there. The big one right now is that thumbs up, because the more thumbs up we get in this video, the more YouTube is going to force us out to other people to watch as well and say, hey, other people like this. You might like it too. And we always are the next day available for audio podcasts as well, for all you like listening things on the car ride to work and all, or if you missed the beginning of the show. We are available on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. So we did get one more comment here. See, DJ Slipper says, oh yeah, my LinkedIn profile. I forgot to the podcast is on my LinkedIn profile. Yes. DJ Slipper says, if football were fixed, would your coach forget to have a kicker? Your star receiver misses a short catch and you lose by 3 with a 2.5 point spread. I thought it was 1.5. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it changed right before the game.
It changes though in the books all the time.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't think that's it. I mean, if you think Daboll is losing a game, like you haven't seen a pissed off against the sidelines.
So say like Caesar Sportsbook is not paying that man to lose.
Yeah, that's not in him. You know, like him or hate him. I know people don't like him always, and I can get why, but you know, I get it. Gerald Abrams said, coachable, speed, even if he uses a gadget player, for get him and see what happens. We got nothing to lose, already 0-2. Well, we got the season to lose still, man. 0-2 is not the end of the season. Really isn't. And like I said, I don't think that they're going to sit him down and not play him if they thought he was any good. I really don't.
That'd just be silly.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever to do that. So, and Jalen Hyatt obviously was frustrated for not being used in week 1. You know, I don't know. I think something's going on behind the scenes with him. I really do. Either he's not doing something the coaching staff has asked of him, or he really hasn't looked good in practice, and they just don't feel comfortable putting him out there. One of the two is definitely going on, and I'm not going to say which one it is. I'm not there. I don't know. I have no inside information on that part of it there. I haven't heard anything from anybody else. So, JJ says, 2 Giant Goofballs. Thanks for another stream. Love the content. Let's go Giants. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for the comments, man. Appreciate you.
Seriously, we always appreciate everybody coming in, because we all know that, listen, there's plenty of Giant content creators out there. There's plenty of other options that you guys could go to. We appreciate you guys coming here, that's for sure. Oh, Mega says, do you guys think the Pinnock contested catch was an interception or a good or bad call by the refs? Like I said, from what I saw in the game, I think it was a correct call. As much as I don't want it to be, and I want it to be one more thing we can flip out about in this game, it was very close. That's for damn sure. But in the end, I think it boils down to the fact that they both, because if you watch how it went, they both had the ball in the beginning, and then Ertz went off it for a second, and then grabbed back onto it and got it out of his hands. At least, again, that's what it looked like.
Yeah, it was.
And I think
it was like one of those plays where I went.
The ball went back and forth in the air a little bit there between the two, and I kind of felt like in the end, Ertz was probably the stronger player, and he just happened to win that battle.
Yeah,
I'd like to see, I'd like to see in the end having a, maybe a lesson on this of why you have to go ahead and kind of curl up the second you can, and that's not to say that he had a chance to do it yet. But when you see a player get in the ground, you see him curl up like this around a ball. That's why they do it, is to prevent guys from ripping it out. Because that can happen. DJ Slipper says, how can we keep Daboll and still get Arch Manning in 2 seasons? Guys, I'm not looking at getting Arch Manning. And that ain't anti-you, DJ thing. Don't take it as that way, please.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. But it's frustration on my end that's starting to boil over with the Arch Manning thing. That's 2 seasons away, guys. We got 15 games left this season. We got 17 games next season. Listen, in 2 seasons, if we're in a position to go ahead and draft Arch Manning and he's that good, go for it.
But let's not hope that we're that bad for 2 years. Well, we could sit there and be that high.
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and, I'm not going to sit there and hope for 2 years to get a quarterback. I want a quarterback this offseason.
Yes. This one.
And if we can't get one this offseason, get me a bridge, and next year let's go ahead and go for it again then,
Amen.
Then I'm okay with that at that point. If Arch Manning is the guy in 2 years. We'll see with that part there. So let's go. Let's see here. So let's see here. Next comment we got here is, I love my New York Giants, says the defense couldn't get off the field when it mattered. Yeah, I mean, 100%. I guess you could say when it mattered the most, it did, because they only gave up field goals. Not touchdowns. You could say that, but they couldn't get off the field without giving up points. That's an issue, guys. That's a huge issue. Like, you got to be able to get off the field without giving up points there. JJ said everyone needs to drop a like on the stream. A few ghost watchers in the view count. Appreciate it, man. Like I said, that definitely was a big way of helping out. So like I said, but definitely that, and also like I said, that subscribe, guys. That's a big one for us right now. If you really like the content too, feel free to give a super chat if anybody wants to as well. We won't complain about that. That's for sure.
Please.
I love my New York Giants. What do you all think about the holding call on Phillips? Like we definitely said this. This is horrendous. I'm not going to blame the whole game on that, because there's so many different minor mistakes that happen. I'm blaming the game on the kicker thing much more. But yeah, it never should have been called. That was the absolute bogus BS call. And it potentially changed the entire outcome. Really did. Really did. Omega says, just found you guys' channel and subbed. Thanks to all the Giant content creators. I said, much appreciation on that one, man. Pretty, like I said, we're on the quest for 1,000 subscribers here. So in order to get fully monetized on YouTube, you got to hit 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. So we're up to, in the last 28 days, we're at 1,500 watch hours. So we just need the subscribers here. So appreciate you guys helping us along with that. Timothy says, the common thread of the Giants' incompetence the last 12 years is John Mara. 2022 was a mirage. Until a qualified president of football operations installed, boycott Giants games. I'll say this. If you want change, guys, boycott the games. And that's not saying John Mara, because quite frankly, I think John Mara gets somewhat of a bad rap. I mean, I know he's kind of has this image of being the guy who butts in and does things he shouldn't do. He's not Jerry Jones, guys. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. You want to get on him for the fact that, the medium Coke thing, because he signed off.
I was going to say,
that's probably the biggest thing I would give him on. You know what I mean? But like, in the end, you saw in Hard Knocks, Joe Shane went up to him and said, we're probably not going to keep Saquon Barkley. And he's like, oh, I don't like this move. I don't want to keep Saquon. But what happened? We didn't keep Saquon. He didn't butt in. He didn't do that. So I'm not sure how much I put on that. And I think John Mara gets the blame because he's the consistent. When you're consistently losing, you have multiple GMs and head coaches and all this stuff. You're looking for a consistent. Okay, what hasn't changed in this? Who can I blame for this? Who can I put this on? And John Mara has been there the whole time. So that's why I think fans have that upset, attitude towards him. There's a lot of people in the building, guys, that have been around the whole time. There's a lot of guys. Some of them have the Mara last name besides just him. I mean, Tim Mara, also somebody like that you look at too as well. I don't have the fix for this, guys. I wish I did. I wish I can go off to Universal Studios, grab a little Harry Potter wand and fix this whole thing with a few magical words there. I don't. I think in the end, though, we're going to figure it out. Teams go through good and bad times. We've gone through some great times as Giant fans. We've won 4 rings in my lifetime. I don't know. It depends, all those ages, how many you've seen. There's plenty of people who've never seen a team win a ring.
Look at you, Jets fans.
I was there for the Dave Brown years. That's what this feels like again. Like, you have to be there for the good and the bad. We're going to be there for the good and the bad. I know all y'all that are here in the comments section all probably in the same boat. You speak about the frustrations, and you're 100% valid for being frustrated as a Giant fan. But in the end, we're all Giants fans. We're going to keep rooting for them, and hopefully things turn around. I don't know when that's going to be, guys, but I'm going to tell you this. The Goofballs will be here when they turn it around finally. And it'd be very nice for us to be happy for once in these streams instead of being all ticked off. That's for sure. JJ says, plot twist, Giants will end up getting Arch Manning the third brother, the missing Thanos Infinity Stone, and will have Bill Belichick and go into a legacy run like the Patriots and Chiefs. We actually
inevitable.
We talked about that on the last live episode. Actually, we just this morning, this segment on that just dropped on YouTube as well, about the Belichick thing. That I'm telling you guys, after this, I think that's going to go up huge. I'm waiting for the first person to go, Bill Belichick would have had a second kicker. I know everybody wants Belichick. I'm still not sold. Like I said, he's like 70-something years old. The Patriots were really bad down the stretch there. I really think that it's not. I really don't think that it's the answer. I just don't. And I get why people want it, because you look at Belichick and you go back to the history with the Giants and the good days with Parcells and all. You go back to the 20-year stretch plus he had with the Patriots, and most of it was very good, but the end was very bad. And I think he's. I don't want to sound like I dislike people of age, because I'm going to be there myself eventually, obviously. And I feel like closer each day to it. But it's like, at a certain point, things pass you by. Like, we've all seen the older person that's issue with like a cell phone or like a technology piece, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Yeah. You have your prime, things pass you by. Like, I feel like I'm getting out of my prime at 42. That's what I feel like, honestly. Like, I'm keeping up with technology and stuff, mostly because we do stuff like this. And it kind of forces me to. But what it boils down to it, 73, was that what I think it was 73,
yeah,
72?
72 now, it would be 73 this year.
Yeah, like his best years of coaching has passed him, guys. And I could be wrong.
Plus years in the NFL, so
I think if we sign him hypothetically, you better have an heir apparent ready to go behind him. And look at his heir apparents. Have you really had one guy come in to that team and like, that's the guy that came into New England that really succeeded?
Not really.
His best assistant to come out of there might have been Bill O'Brien.
Probably.
How scary is that, guys? Because he really did an Amber Heard there. You all know what that means. It means he pooped the bed. Down in Houston, you got Matt Patricia looked bad. Charlie Weiss looked bad. Romeo Crennel looked bad. Josh McDaniels looked bad. Joe Judge looked bad. So I don't think that's necessarily setting us up for success. I really don't see it as that. Now, if he's here, I'll root for the guy. I'll hope I'm wrong all day long. Same as I am with TJ. Gerald Abram, great show, guys. Too bad in the loss, but a sub to you guys. Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. We're one guy closer. One more sub closer. One more sub. One more sub.
One more sub.
DJ Slippers, you guys have a favorite in-stadium beer for the next home game? Bronx beer wasn't bad. I got to be honest with you guys. Living in Florida, I don't get to go very often. I know Rob used to have to work on Sundays and stuff like that too, and he hasn't been able to go too much either. So part of the problem for us now, though, to be honest with you guys, is us doing the show. If we go to the game live, we can't go right on it when the game is over. We'd be on a couple hours later. Now, I do plan on going because of the fact that I do live here in Tampa to the Falcons and Giants game in December. So my hope is that I can figure out a way to go ahead and do a setup in the parking lot and use my phone tethering to do it. But that's going to be an issue potentially when I go to do that. We're going to find out how well that works.
Oh, yeah.
That could be difficult. But I will say this. When I'm having beer, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. If I want to have just one beer and relax and that's it, Sam Adams Cherry Wheat at home is a definite go-to for me. It's too sweet to have multiple. If I'm looking for just a nice, inexpensive beer that I can just sit and relax with having a few, I'm not going to say it's Yingling, but I'm not going to say it's not Yingling as I have one right here in front of me here. Like, it's just a good, simple beer. How about you, Rob? What's your go-tos?
Oh, I mean, at stadium, if I'm having a couple, like one or two, I go with a nice party IPA, double IPA. Really get the buzz going on. But I'm actually a big fan of Garrison. It's a New England style lager. It's I don't know if it's Rhode Island or New Hampshire. It's it's a small little thing. You probably can't find it by you. It's a similar taste to a Yingling. Just a little lighter.
Yeah. I think the problem you run into is the stadium is so damn expensive that even when I go to the games, I don't ever pay
$15 a beer.
I'm not paying $20 for a beer when I got a case in my car. I tailgate, get drunk, and then go in.
100%.
I'm like the opposite of most people. I'm sobering up by halftime. Like, I'm a complete opposite of most people. I know that. I can't do it. Like, I can't spend what? Seriously, what's the price of a beer nowadays?
Like $15.
Yeah, like that's ridiculous. Like, if I was the guy who can get drunk off 2 or 3, then even then I'm still paying $30, $45. I get 6 to get a buzz going, guys. Like, I'm not popping $100 on beer at that point. Like, that's not happening.
I'm not 20 anymore. If not doing that anymore.
Yeah, like that's not. That's one thing I'm actually curious about what's going to happen to the when I would go to Atlanta, because Atlanta is cheap for beer. Atlanta made it a point that their food and their beer is extremely inexpensive comparatively. Now I'm looking
back in the day. You used to be able to bring in food into the stadium.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of getting a Subway sub and lining that sub up between the meat and the bread with airplane shooters and bringing that right into the stadium. How
cool would it be if you had like a beer or food thing like a bank teller at a stadium where it's like it goes to the tube and just boop, psh, psh, here's your foot-long sub, psh, here's your beer. Like, that'd be awesome. But I looked it up here, and I trying to look up because again, I haven't been to a game at MetLife Stadium since when Eli was still at the quarterback. Because again, I'm down here, so they had for the 22 season. It said a beer was $11 at MetLife, and it was $11.50 at Jacksonville. Now I went to the Jacksonville and Giants game that year in Jacksonville, and they were $14 a piece. So I think this thing is wrong. But even at $11, I'm still not paying $11 for a beer. That should cost me like $4 or $5 most. Not doing it. Not going to do it. Let's see. Omega says 2 words: Jerry Reese and Thomas. Big balls. Coughlin. Miss them. I miss Coughlin. I don't miss. I don't miss Jerry Reese, and I don't hate Jerry Reese because we got 2 rings with the guy. I just think there's a lot of mistakes he made towards the end of Eli's career and totally ruined those last few years, and I have a little bit of
bitterness.
There's a little bit of bitterness there. I'll admit it. DJ Slipper says it cost me $1,500 to go to opening game. They won't fool me again this season. Yeah, depending on what kind of tickets you got. Yeah, the tickets are not cheap, guys. So tickets are not cheap. Well, hopefully going forward, hopefully something happens to this team though, and going forward they get a little better, guys. That's what I gotta hope for. I think we all gotta hope for that as Giants fans. That's what we gotta hope for and root for. So we'll be back though for you guys tomorrow night, guys. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing another live show there, so hope to see you guys there. We'll be going over all of the games from this past week in general, not just the Giants game, because that's just depressing to keep talking about. We'll go over all the other games as well as we do the results of our Pick'em show here, and of course we go over also all the results there as well, and any Giants news in general that comes out over the next 24 hours here. Let's see. Solving the race problem says, who gets the biggest slice of blame pie for today's loss?
Daboll.
I'm going to say Daboll / Shane because I think it's a joint decision not to have a kicker. Yeah. Those two together. And they get to share that slice of blame.
Yep.
Like, in fact, of that, it's like if you put the pizza into you cut a corner of it out, and then you cut the other rest of it, the 2/3, the 3/4 in half, and give each of them a half, they get that equal piece. Because there's still a little bit of blame that needs to go at that point towards the refs for the Drew Phillips call. There's still a little bit of blame that obviously goes on, as much as I hate to say it, on Malik Nabers for the drop. There's still other people to blame. But I'm giving it to Daboll and Shane for not having a kicker, point blank. JJ says, I'm going to give it to coaching. If this team didn't want to blow Commanders out and end up in a tight game, we need to take the field goal, and we wouldn't have lost. Yeah. Like I said, just have a kicker.
Yep.
Have a kicker. The guy was injured. Michael says, Daniel Jones played as well as 2/3 of the quarterback of this league this week, knowing they didn't have a place kicker. More of the same garbage, fumbles, drop passes. I don't know if I say he played better than 2/3. Again, I'm not. I don't know, Michael, if you're just tuning in here, so I don't want to sit there and assume you heard things we said earlier. I'm not blaming Daniel Jones on this loss, but I'm not going to sit there and say with 178 yards he played better than 2/3 of the quarterbacks this league today. He wasn't the problem, but he wasn't the solution.
A third of them also haven't played. So
yeah, like I said, that's very true. It's probably 2/3 of the teams, 2/3 of the quarterbacks. Huh? But no, I think that's probably the best way to word it, though, is he wasn't the problem, but he wasn't the solution. I think that's fair. I think it's a fair statement. So, all right, guys. Again, we'll be back again tomorrow night for you guys. We appreciate all y'all coming on here. Hoping next week we can come on with a nice, more positive tone here, an actual win, some good news here. That'd be nice as we face Cleveland here the week coming up there. Again, we'll see you guys all Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to go over all the games there. So if you like watching Monday Night Football, but you don't like listening, then maybe put the show on, put the game on mute and listen to the Goofballs.
A little goofy.
Yeah, we'll be going over everything there. And we do that Thursday night, too, as well. So let's see. Akui Andrew says Washington might have a better quarterback. They might. It's still very early in his career, so we'll see what he develops into. But if you had to tell me who would you rather have in your team right now, Daniel Jones or Jayden Daniels, I'd pick Jayden Daniels in a heartbeat. We know what Daniel Jones is. We don't know what Jayden is yet. JJ says, God, I ate too much junk food. It's time to hit the hay. At least I enjoyed something other than the Giants loss. Well, good day, fellas. Yeah. Appreciate it, JJ. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Appreciate you guys for listening. And as always, Giant fans,
go J-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.